Are your thoughts manifesting divine weakness in your sacred aura? 7 prophetic signs revealed. In the quaint village of Elderwood, nestled among the rolling hills, the air hummed with serenity, yet there was a growing discord in Clara's heart. Day by day, her faith felt like a fragile thread on the brink of fraying. For years, Clara had been the beacon of hope in her church, a radiant light of unwavering devotion. But now, as shadows crept across the land, she sensed an unsettling veil of doubt creeping through her once strong spirit. Could her own thoughts be tainting the sacred aura she sought to protect? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara knelt before the altar of Saint Michael, surrounded by flickering candles that cast dancing shadows. The air was thick with the weight of prayer, the sacred hymns echoing softly, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Yet, as she prayed fiercely for divine clarity, the vision of a looming storm stirred in her heart, dark and relentless. The signs began to reveal themselves. Whispers in the wind, flickers of light in the corners of her mind. Each unexpected flicker felt prophetic. Each whisper felt like a warning. Then came the moment, an unexpected jolt, as a familiar face entered the hallowed space. Agnes, a fellow parishioner, approached Clara with a look that spoke volumes. Betrayal pierced through Clara like a dagger. Agnes held a secret that threatened to unravel the very fabric of their community. Clara's voice faltered as she spoke, her heart heavy with a sense of disbelief. How could a friend, someone she had trusted, spread doubt and fear amidst their sacred circle? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each passing moment, Clara's resolve faltered. She sought to confront Agnes, but instead, confusion engulfed her. Thoughts swirled. What power did her own mind hold? Was she truly the architect of her own despair? The atmosphere thickened around her, weighed down by the uncertainty of her faith and the fragility of human bonds. Could she bring healing to a fracturing community, or were these worries her own doing? Then came the crescendo of her turmoil, a gathering of the faithful, where hearts beat in unison. Clara gathered her church family, their faces illuminated with hope amid the gathering shadows. They clasped hands in a circle, voices rising as they implored Saint Michael for guidance. A visible luminescence enveloped the room, igniting the space with divine presence. But as they prayed fervently, the real question hung in the air, heavy and oppressive. What if their prayers for hope and unity remained unanswered? Glowing candles flickered higher, casting ethereal rays as Clara's heart raced. In that sacred moment of communal pleading, something shifted within her. A warmth spread through her being, a flicker of faith igniting against the darkness. She felt the weight of those doubts start to lift, replaced by an unwavering determination to seek the light in her beloved community. With one last lingering breath, Clara gazed ahead, not into the darkness, but into the glimmering promise of transformation that awaited. The thought lingered in her mind, what miracle might unfold from their united prayers? Only time would tell. The days that followed were filled with a palpable tension within the village of Elderwood. Clara's heart throbbed with the weight of unspoken truths. Each sunrise brought renewed hope, yet the specter of doubt lingered as her mind replayed Agnes's haunting gaze. Was it possible that the darkness she witnessed was a reflection of her own fears? Every evening, Clara returned to the altar of Saint Michael, seeking solace amidst the soft flickers of candlelight. The sacred space felt both comforting and charged with unfulfilled potential. As she poured out her soul in prayer, she began to sense a transformation stirring deep within her. The whispered signs grew clearer, urging her onward, calling her to a deeper understanding of faith. One evening, as she knelt before the altar, a soft rustle drew her attention. The church's heavy wooden doors creaked open, revealing Agnes standing hesitantly in the doorway. Clara's heart raced. There was no mistaking the urgency in Agnes's eyes, paired with the unmistakable fragility she wore like a cloak. It was a moment pregnant with divine possibility. Clara stood slowly, feeling the weight of her own fears pressing upon her shoulders. "Agnes," she murmured, her voice trembling. "What brings you here?" The question hung in the air as if seeking to bridge the chasm that had grown between them. Agnes stepped forward, her breath hitching. "I've come to seek forgiveness," she confessed, her voice shaking. "I've let doubt cloud my heart, and I fear my actions have cast shadows on others." The admission poured forth like a floodgate opened, each word resonating with the sincerity of a repentant spirit. In that moment, Clara's heart swelled with compassion. "We all journey through valleys of doubt," she said softly, recognizing her own struggle mirrored in Agnes's confession. "It's in our vulnerabilities that we find strength through forgiveness." The air shimmered as they stood together, enveloped in the sacred bond of shared vulnerability. Clara felt a wave of warmth washing over them, a divine reminder that they were not alone in their struggles. "Will you pray with me?" Clara asked, her spirit ignited by the presence of God that filled the room. Holding hands, they bowed their heads together. The church grew quiet, a hushed expectancy settling over them. Clara's voice lifted upwards, resonating with hope and healing, invoking the wisdom of Goddess Spirit to bind their hearts together once more. As the final words echoed in the sacred space, a flicker of golden light danced around them, illuminating their faces. It was as if heaven itself acknowledged their humble offering. Clara's heart swelled with a newfound strength, a reflection of the divine togetherness forged in that moment. Suddenly, the realization struck her: clarity was not simply about dispelling doubt, but inviting truth into the open. Clara lifted her eyes to Agnes, now sparkling with tears and gratitude, and understood the pathway to restoration hinged not just on her strength, but on a collective journey toward healing. Yet, as Clara pondered this renewed vision of faith, a disquiet crept back into her mind. There were still fractures within their community yet to mend. What might the power of their united struggle reveal about the fragility and fervor of their faith? Determined, Clara felt a new calling arise within her, a responsibility to harness their collective strength and reflect Goddess love into the depths of Elderwood. But would her brothers and sisters in faith respond to the call as she had? The next chapter of their journey awaited, pregnant with potential. What divine revelation was on the horizon? Clara rose from her knees, her spirit alight with purpose. She looked at Agnes, her eyes glistening with unspoken promise. "Together, we can reach out to the others," she urged, her voice steady. "The village needs to hear our story. They need to feel the power of forgiveness and hope." Agnes nodded slowly, as if awakening to the truth of Clara's words. "I want to help, Clara. I know fear has held many of us back. We need to show them they're not alone." A flicker of determination crossed her face, a spark that matched Clara's energy. As they ventured out into the night, the star-speckled sky seemed to nod in agreement. The village was quiet, but Clara could feel the vibrancy yearning to spill forth. Each door they passed represented a soul cocooned in doubt, waiting for the light of renewal. They arrived at Martha's cottage first. The elderly woman had always been there to guide Clara as a child, weaving stories of faith that grounded the village. Clara's heart quickened, remembering the many lessons taught in that space, how faith can flourish even in the bleakest of soil. Clara knocked gently. After a few moments, Martha peered out, her expression softening as she recognized Clara and Agnes standing there. "My dears," Martha said, opening her door wide, revealing the warmth of her cozy home. "What brings you here at this hour? Can we share something with you, Martha?" Clara asked, stepping across the threshold. Felt right, spiritual and inviting, like stepping into a sacred circle. As they sat together, a familiar ambience enveloped them, like a cocoon of trust and vulnerability. Clara spoke from her heart, her words flowing like a balm over the wounds of doubt. "We've discovered the power of forgiveness, of understanding. It's time for our community to stand together, to heal together." Martha listened intently, her wise eyes shimmering with intrigue. The stories of the village's struggles and fears soon filled the cottage, mingled with Clara's fervent hope. Gradually, Martha's face broke into a beaming smile. "Oh, sweet Clara, this is what we need. We've been so lost in our pain that we forgot the strength of our faith." With renewed vigor, Martha joined their vision, her laughter a soothing, harmonizing sound. "Let us gather more. We shall meet at the church tomorrow. Invite anyone whose heart aches." As they shared this revelation, doors opened not just to their consciousness but also to a collective warmth. A community stirred from its slumber, embers of hope igniting amongst shadows. The next few nights found Clara and Agnes weaving through the village, hearts joined in purpose. They approached others, William, the blacksmith, who had grown weary of the weight of long-held grievances. Emma, the baker, whose laughter had faded under the burden of her worries. And even young Thomas, who questioned his worth after a series of failures. Each encounter ended with a shared prayer, laughter, or a moment of silent understanding. In the days that followed, as they gathered in the church, a sense of anticipation grew. The candles flickered, illuminating faces drawn in inquiry and excitement. Each night built upon the last, like a mounting wave of revival against the shores of doubt. Yet, as Clara felt the swell of enthusiasm within her too, an echo of trepidation brooded beneath. Would they be ready for what God had in store? Would faith stand taller than fear? As they prepared for the moment of collective prayer, a holy hush fell, a sacred silence that filled the hall. Clara could feel the pulse of unity connecting them, a binding force stronger than she had imagined. But what awaited them in the depths of prayer? A test of their newfound faith, or a revelation that would shift the very foundations of Elderwood? They stood on the brink of something larger, something divine, something yet to unfold. The evening was crisp, and Clara stood at the front of the church, surrounded by flickering candles that danced like stars in the gathering dim light. She looked at the faces before her, each one etched with stories of struggle, hope, and weariness. She could feel the collective heartbeat of the congregation, a rhythm of faith mingled with uncertainty. Agnes stood beside her, a comforting presence as they prepared to lead the prayer. Clara's heart swelled with the weight of their charge. This moment held so much promise. Yet, shadows of doubt lingered at the edges of her mind. "Let us close our eyes," Clara began, her voice steady yet gentle, "and breathe deeply. Let us take a moment to center ourselves in His presence." The room fell silent, except for the soft rustling of clothing and the occasional whisper of the wind outside. Clara inhaled deeply, feeling the air fill her lungs like warm light, and as they exhaled, she envisioned burdens lifting, fears melting away like mist at dawn. Agnes led the first prayer, her words flowing forth in sincerity. "Lord, we come before you as children seeking your grace. Help us shed the weight of our past, so that we may embrace your light and love." A warmth spread through the room, and Clara watched as heads nodded in agreement, eyes glistening with unspoken longings. "We bring our pain to you," she whispered, feeling the connection between their souls deepen. "Help us to forgive, to heal, and to grow together." As they continued in prayer, Clara felt an electric sensation in the air, lifting hearts and spirits. She sensed God's presence enveloping them, igniting the flickers of hope into blazing flames of faith. Couples clasped hands, young and old alike united, ready to lay down their burdens. But then a subtle shift occurred. Clara's eyes flew open as a low murmur swept through the group, a ripple of fear tinged with skepticism. "What if we are not worthy?" One voice trembled. Clara's heart sank. She realized that the roots of doubt still clung tightly to some. Would they break free? She stepped forward, her soul ignited with a holy urgency. "Friends, look around. We are not alone. In this moment, we can embrace courage. God sees our hearts, not our flaws. He delights in our coming together, struggles and all." A murmur of agreement mixed with uncertainty coursed through the congregation. Faces softened, eyes slowly meeting her gaze, searching for reassurance. Clara could feel their pain, their longing for connection felt amidst swirling fears. Sometimes our minds architect walls of doubt. But remember, the Lord is our refuge, she continued passionately. He invites us to trust, to grow in our faith, beyond the binds of our circumstances. As she spoke, tears began to glisten upon more cheeks, courageous souls leaning into the promise of renewal. And just when hope began to swell, a loud clap of thunder shook the night air outside. The candles flickered wildly, shadows danced on the walls, mimicking the turmoil simmering within some hearts. Clara could barely comprehend how quickly the atmosphere shifted. A fragile moment teetered between fervent belief and paralyzing fear. She felt the weight of their uncertainty thicken the air like mist. "Fear not," she called out, her voice ringing out like a beacon. "Have faith in the promise of love. What will it take for us to trust that beyond this moment, God's hand is guiding us?" There was a stirring, new ideas blossoming, faith seeking to break free from the confines of fear. And just then, in the middle of this divine tension, Clara sensed something extraordinary. A gentle light shone brightly through the stained glass, illuminating the sacred space. It felt like a heavenly touch, as if God himself was affirming their gathering. Faces brightened, hearts began to lift yet again. But amidst the rising faith, Clara's breath caught. What deeper revelations awaited them? What hidden fears or burdens still lingered unacknowledged? As night enveloped the church like a soft blanket, Clara knew one truth. They had stepped into the sacred unknown. "Tomorrow," she whispered, her heart thrumming with anticipation, "we will push past fear. We will dive into our truths. And together, we will witness God's hand at work." As she closed in prayer, the congregation's energy thrummed with possibility. They were at the edge of transformation, ready to embrace the light and shed their fears. The moment felt pregnant with promise, but would they have the strength to face what lay ahead? The mystery loomed. What would tomorrow bring? When faith meets trial, and hope collides with necessity? As dawn broke the next day, Clara felt the air crackling with anticipation. The sun, a golden orb rising steadily in a blue sky, cast the church in soft hues of warmth. She stood at the entrance, watching as familiar faces appeared, each marked with a blend of resolve and uncertainty. Today was their day to confront the shadows, a day to seek God's guidance amidst the daunting questions that loomed within them. Agnes approached, her smile a lighthouse in the early morning light. "I can feel it, Clara," she said, her voice a gentle whisper bouncing off the stones. "Today we'll break through." "I believe you're right," Clara replied, her heart soaring with hope. "But it won't be easy. We must embrace our vulnerabilities if we truly wish to find the strength God is offering us." As the congregation filled the pews, Clara took a moment to breathe deeply once more. She recalled her own struggles with doubt. Holding that space, she reminded herself and others that vulnerability wasn't a weakness. It was a door leading to deeper faith and connection, a beautiful transformation that only the Almighty could orchestrate. Once everyone had settled in, Clara stepped forward again, the sunlight filtering through the windows reflecting the colors of the stained glass onto her face. A divine tapestry, she thought, woven by hands unseen, yet felt around them. "Today is sacred," she announced, her voice steady. "A day to peel back the layers of doubt, to expose the areas where we feel weak or unworthy. It's a time to open our hearts fully to God, who loves us endlessly." There was a gentle rustle of agreement, some nodding slowly, while others held their breath. Clara could sense that familiar tension in the air, a blend of excitement and fear. "Let us share our burdens," she encouraged. "Speak your truth. It's safe here with us, among brothers and sisters who care." One by one, voices began to rise like smoke, hesitant at first but then gathering momentum. "I fear I'm not good enough. I struggle with anger. I feel lost in my purpose." Each confession drew them closer, twining their hearts like vines, a community rising together. Clara listened, moved by the courage unfolding. She noticed the flicker of tears, the shaking hands, the shoulders that straightened as people spoke their truth. "This is the essence of faith," she proclaimed gently. "Not the absence of struggle but the willingness to face it together." A young woman stood up, her voice shaking but resolute. I've carried the burden of my mistakes for too long. I am ready to seek forgiveness, not just from others, but for myself. Can God truly forgive me? Yes, Clara shouted without hesitation. His love knows no bounds. In that forgiveness you'll find the freedom to soar again. And with those words, the sense of liberation washed over the room like a rush of wind, rekindling the light in their hearts. The thunder from the previous night felt like a mere echo now, overshadowed by the power of shared faith. And just then, Clara perceived it, a soft, heavenly whisper threading through the gathered souls. In the midst of raw vulnerability, the divine was weaving a new tapestry of hope. But amidst the growing warmth, Clara noticed a shadow, a girl sitting quietly at the back, her eyes clouded with uncertainty. When Clara caught her gaze, she felt a tug at her spirit. "Would you share with us?" Clara asked gently, inviting her into the circle of compassion. The girl hesitated but then gathered the resolve to speak. "I've been struggling with the thought that my past defines me. But today I want to break free. Can that be true?" "Absolutely, beloved," Clara affirmed, her heart swelling. "God looks at the heart, not our past. He has plans for us, and each of us fits beautifully into his canvas." The congregation resonated with her words. The girl's eyes sparkled with newfound hope. Could it really be possible? Was a breakthrough finally on the horizon? As Clara closed the gathering in prayer, a sense of unity hovered like an invisible blanket, wrapping around them all. They had faced their fears, and trust flooded into the spaces doubt had claimed. Yet lingering questions remained. What would emerge as they began to live into this truth? What new challenges might surface on this transformative journey toward deeper faith? As Clara stepped back into the light of that beautiful day, she knew one thing for certain. Miracles were being ignited within each heart. The adventure was only beginning. The air was electric with an unseen energy as Clara lingered in the sacred embrace of the church. Each face around her glowed with a soft light, hope pulsing in rhythm with their shared breaths. The atmosphere, thick with expectation, felt like a living thing, vibrant and restless. "Before we part ways today, let us not rush," Clara said as she took a few steps forward, scanning the room filled with friends who had become family. "I believe God is inviting us to go deeper. Can we hold space for one another a little longer?" A collective nod of understanding surged through the congregation. They settled back into their pews, hearts wide open, ready to explore the depths of their spirits. Clara felt a divine nudge, a call to go beyond their shared burdens and delve into the promise of transformation waiting for them. "Perhaps it's time to reflect. Let us each think about what we truly desire," Clara encouraged. "In this moment, can we reclaim our dreams, those passions we might have buried beneath shame or indecision?" Silence enveloped them. It was a stillness that broke away from the noise of the world. In the hushed quiet, Clara watched as faces softened, eyes shimmering with unspoken hopes. She could sense the weight of aspirations pressing against their hearts, yearning to be freed. "I want to write," an older man called out, his voice fragile yet firm. "I've always felt that God had placed stories in my heart, but I've been too afraid to share them." "That's beautiful," Clara exclaimed, her own heart racing with joy. "Your stories hold light. How many others will be inspired through your obedience to God's call?" Another voice broke through the silence, a younger woman with tears glistening on her cheeks. "I want to love without fear. My past wounds hold me back, but I know God is calling me to embrace others fully." With each revealing statement, the congregation leaned in closer, the air shimmering brighter with the soothing presence of the Holy Spirit. Memories of their pasts, once heavy burdens, morphed into stepping stones of faith one by one, illuminating the road ahead. "Close your eyes for a moment," Clara instructed gently. "Imagine what lies on the other side of your fear. Picture what God has crafted for you, the calling He has placed in your life." As they sat in that sacred moment, Clara prayed softly, interceding for each heart gathered. Words of encouragement flowed around the room, soft murmurs blending together like a healing balm, swirling through the edges of doubt, still clinging to some souls. Today, Clara proclaimed with certainty, We snatch back the dreams that the enemy has tried to steal. We claim our right to embrace the fullness of God's promises over our lives. A pulse of purpose rippled through them, a shimmering light of determination igniting in their hearts. There was something magical happening, something that transcended understanding. Then, amidst the shared energy, the girl from the back stood once more, her expression transformed. I want to lead a community project. I felt it for so long but was trapped by insecurity. She confessed, voice unwavering. I want to impact lives the way others have impacted mine. Can I truly make a difference? Yes, you can. Clara affirmed exuberantly. Your heart is fertile soil for God's plans. When we yield our insecurities, He floods us with His power to act. As laughter and applause erupted in the church, Clara squeezed her eyes shut momentarily, allowing the joy to wash over her. The room was now a canvas, each person a brushstroke of divine paint, becoming part of a vivid masterpiece of collective faith. Their hearts were aflame. Hope hung in the air like a sweet fragrance. As they prepared to close, Clara felt a tug inside her, an awareness that the journey was only just beginning. She raised her hands, ready to bless them anew. What next step will you take this week to lean into the call God has placed in your heart? She asked, her voice infused with passion. As you leave this place, remember this moment, hold onto the belief that you are more than your past. Seek to forge new paths, with the warmth of sunlight streaming through the stained glass, illuminating the gathered souls. Clara cherished the uncharted territory of faith still to come. Just then, an echoing thought danced in her mind regardless of the challenges ahead. Each heart now beat with the potential for divine intervention. As they set off into the world, Clara's spirit sang with joy, for the true question lingered on her lips. What miracles would be birthed from their obedience in the week to come? As the congregation stepped into the embrace of the outside world, the sunlight wrapped around them like warm arms, each person a beacon of newfound hope. Clara watched them scatter, hearts full and spirits heightened, and it filled her soul with a sense of awe. There was something electric in the air, a promise that each soul, armed with their dreams, was poised to make a difference. Walking home, Clara felt a flutter of excitement. It was as if the seeds of faith they'd planted together would take root overnight. Yet, beneath that exhilaration lingered a whisper of urgency. She sensed a need to pray not just for themselves, but for all those they would touch in the coming days. The divine dance of connection was only beginning. Clara settled into her favorite spot by the window, where the gentle light flowed in like an invitation. She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply, allowing peace to settle within her. As she breathed out, she imagined all the dreams and prayers rising like incense to heaven. Lord, she murmured, may our paths be illuminated by your light. Empower us to embrace the challenges, surround us with your love, and guide our hands and hearts. The winds outside rustled the trees, and Clara opened her eyes, her heart racing as a thought struck her. How often do we let doubt overshadow the gifts God has given us? She felt a divine nudge to explore this idea with the community. That weekend, Clara invited everyone back to the church. The same faces gathered, filled with the light of anticipation. Thank you for coming back, Clara began, her voice warm and inviting. Today, I want us to dig deeper into anything that keeps us from stepping boldly into our divine calling. As they settled in, Clara confessed her own insecurities. I wrestle with doubts myself, believing I am not enough. But then I remember the moments He has lifted me. And that is what we celebrate together today. An elder man spoke slowly, revealing his struggles with fear of failure, fear of rejection. Clara nodded, feeling the weight of unspoken fears rise in the room. Sensing the collective vulnerability, she encouraged everyone to share their doubts. Soon, the congregation was awash with each other's stories, weaving together a tapestry of human experience tightly knit with a thread of faith. I feel like my past mistakes will always hold me back, a young mother whispered, her voice trembling. What if I'm never really healed enough to start something anew? Can I remind you, Clara interjected gently, that our past does not define our future? God does not see our brokenness. He sees our potential. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a divine journey. The quiet filled again, but this time with something deeper, a shared understanding that perhaps the doubts they carried were burdens meant to be lifted to the Lord. Clara felt a surge of encouragement. It's time to let go. Let us think of one fear we can surrender to God today. Heartbeats quickened, and eyes closed. A wave of intention swept across the room. Prayers arose like a chorus, intertwining into something greater than their individual hopes. Clara felt the Holy Spirit moving through them, igniting a flame of possibility, unfurling in every heart. She opened her arms invitingly, urging each to spill their fears into that sacred space together. Now, let us ask God to replace your fear with His strength. Feel it rising in you, lifting burdens like a gentle breeze. As they spoke, their fears allowed fragments of their past. Shadows of insecurity, the weight in the atmosphere shifted. Clara couldn't help but smile. Here lay the beauty of vulnerability. Each acknowledgement brought them closer to divine freedom. As the prayers waned, an exhilarating silence fell. Clara took a deep breath, eyes glistening. Beloveds, God is revealing new beginnings today. Trust that your dreams, once dimmed, are now catching fire. With a spark of their collective hope, Clara invited them to reflect on what they were ready to pursue this week. What action will you take, fueled by freedom, courage, and the love of Christ? The response seasoned the air, intentions mingling like sweet incense rising once more to heaven. As they prepared to leave, laughter and soft promise lingered. Clara knew they had scratched the surface of something profound. With minds stirred and faith revived, she grinned, pondering the question that danced at the edge of her soul. What would happen if they all embraced their calling fully, casting aside fear and stepping boldly into the divine light before them? The following days unfolded like petals of a blossoming flower, revealing new insights daily. Clara couldn't shake the warmth of the prayers shared. Each conversation lingered in her heart, reminding her of their collective strength. She felt an insatiable hunger to delve even deeper into the power of faith, to encourage others in nurturing their dreams. One sunny Wednesday, Clara found herself in the church again, surrounded by the gentle rustle of pages turning. She was preparing a chart of intentions, eager to hear how the community had embraced their passions. She thought of the doubts, disclosed the fears that had loomed like dark clouds. In those moments of sharing, they had illuminated one another's spirits, but she longed to see the brightness turned to action. As the congregation gathered that evening, there was an energy that hummed in the air. Clara smiled at familiar faces, watching as they took their seats. "Welcome back," she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "Tonight we're going to ignite our dreams by sharing what we've started since our last meeting. What steps have you taken?" Hands shot up, excitement tangling with nerves. An older woman spoke first, her voice soft yet steady. "I reached out to a neighbor I'd been avoiding. I felt the need to share my story with her, a story of healing I had hidden for so long." A ripple of encouragement washed over the room as people nodded. Clara felt her own heart swell. Here was a seed sprouting, a connection being forged. One by one, each person shared their small victories. A young man, usually shy, revealed how he had begun volunteering at a local shelter. A college student spoke bravely of moving towards a potential career in community outreach. Each story was a testament to the seeds of faith taking root, sprouting into positive actions. Yet as she listened, Clara sensed a deeper layer, a yearning for clarity among some members. Not everyone felt equipped to pursue their dreams. She could see it in their eyes, the glimmer of hope wrestling with uncertainty. Clara stood taller, her convictions bubbling forth. "Beloveds, these wonderful steps are just the beginning, but we must recognize the power we wield. Each thought can build or tear down. Are we manifesting divine strength or allowing discouragement to cloud our aura?" An electric silence blanketed the room. Clara's gaze shifted to those deeply contemplative faces. "Remember, it is by the grace of God that we can transform our doubts into determination. The moment we trust in Him, our dreams can flourish. So let us ask ourselves, are our thoughts aligning with His will for us? A murmur rippled through the congregation. Questions sparkled in their minds. Clara felt the presence of the Holy Spirit stirring something inside each of them. Let us meditate on the prophetic signs of what it means to live fully in our sacred calling. What might divine whispers sound like in our lives? Tension softened as Clara guided them in a moment of reflection. Eyes closed, she encouraged them to visualize their aspirations. Picture those dreams in vibrant color and remember, clarity and confidence come from pouring our hearts out before God. They breathed together, breaths synchronizing. Clara guided them through a prayer, inviting the Lord to fortify their spirits and illuminate their thoughts with divine clarity. As the meeting came to a close, Clara opened her eyes, thrill and mystery intertwining within her. Tomorrow holds endless possibilities, dear ones. Allow the Holy Spirit to guide your steps, and let faith fuel your journey. Keep Jesus at the helm. Feeling a surge of passion, she posed a question that resonated deeply. What if your mind's imaginations could align perfectly with His intentions for your life? What might flourish from that sacred intersection? With that profound thought hanging in the air, the congregation departed, hearts buoyed, and minds ablaze with contemplation. Clara knew that their individual journeys were just beginning, but what divine new challenges awaited them on the horizon. Clara woke the next morning with the warm light pouring through her window, illuminating the dusty edges of her thoughts. Each ray felt like a whispered promise from God, a gentle reminder that His plans were unfolding. She made her way to the kitchen, brewing a cup of tea, eager to set her intentions for the day. She could still feel the power of last night's gathering humming through her spirit. As she sipped the warm liquid, her mind wandered to the stories shared, the flickers of hope igniting hearts around her. Yet, just beneath the surface, a question lingered. How could she help her friends navigate the storm of doubts still tugging at them? It dawned on her that they were on the verge of revelation, but perhaps they needed a bit more guidance. With that realization, Clara decided to organize an impromptu retreat at the church. She envisioned an afternoon filled with prayer, reflection, and divine exploration. Excitement bubbled within her, and she quickly began drafting a message to the congregation. That evening, as she prepared the church hall, Clara decorated the tables with simple candles and fresh flowers. She wanted the ambience to be inviting, a haven where everyone could feel the embrace of the Holy Spirit. Each flickering candle was like a small beacon of hope, ready to guide weary souls. Soon after, familiar faces began to arrive. Clara welcomed each one, her heart swelling with joy seeing them gather again. The energy in the room felt different, charged with anticipation. She took a moment to observe her beloved friends, each person carrying their own unique burdens and blessings. Tonight, Clara began, her voice steady. We step into a sacred space. Together, let us dive deeper, let us uncover the whispers of God that have been calling us, awakening our souls. We shall reflect on the obstacles that block our path and seek the signs that lead us toward fulfillment. The atmosphere grew thick with contemplation, eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and hope. Clara realized they needed to embody the very strength they had talked about. Let us disrupt our comfort zones and ask the tough questions. She encouraged, what shadows loom over our dreams? What fears bind your spirit? Clara invited each member to share their thoughts, and as they did, she guided them through the process of acknowledging their fears gently, yet purposefully. One by one, they shared pieces of themselves, peeling back the layers of doubt to reveal the radiant dreams buried within. As Clara listened, it became clear that the very act of sharing was building a bridge of connection among them. Their vulnerabilities morphed into strength. The room felt alive, pulsing with faith and divine energy. One woman tearfully confessed her fear of failure, only to be met with reassurance from a friend who had once faced the same wall. With each shared story, Clara felt a wave of divine inspiration wash over her. Beloveds, she said, her voice soaring, let us remember that every hesitation can be transformed into hope. Trust in the Lord's plan. He delights in your journey, even when the path seems obscured. Can you hear it? The call to rise above is echoing through our hearts. Clara then led them into a moment of quiet reflection. Close your eyes and breathe. As you inhale, envision breathing in strength. As you exhale, let go of doubt. Let each breath bring clarity and the promise of his guidance. The room fell silent, breaths mingling in harmony, as a shiver of communal resolve pulsed through the group. As they reopened their eyes, Clara posed a new question. What if our fears are simply opportunities in disguise? What new beginnings are waiting at the brink of faith? A sense of renewal danced like light across their faces, and she could feel that the seeds of transformation were being sown. Clara smiled wide, knowing they were turning a corner in their journey of faith. Let us cling to that promise, dear friends. And remember, Clara concluded, the Lord calls us to action, to dare greatly, and to trust unfalteringly. What awaits us in the realm of possibility? With their hearts ignited and spirits lifted, they exited the church that evening, filled with the radiant light of divine hope. Clara knew this was only the beginning yet. She felt a lingering question stirring in her own soul. What blossoming revelations awaited them next in their pursuit of Goddess' abundant love? The sun rose majestically over Elderwood, bathing the village in hues of gold and amber. Clara stood at the church entrance, savoring the moment, her heart swelling with anticipation. Today was not just another day. It was the culmination of their shared journey, a day of divine unveiling. The congregation gathered, a tapestry of hopeful faces reflecting a profound shift. Each person had weathered storms, confronted fears, and unearthed dreams. Clara could feel the sacred energy thrumming in the air, a vibrant tapestry woven by the threads of shared faith and resilience. Welcome, beloved friends, Clara exclaimed, her voice ringing clear. Today we will walk into divine clarity. We will unveil the sacred visions that have been nudging our hearts all along. The congregation settled into their seats, their anticipation almost palpable. Clara felt a precious unity among them, a bond strengthened through vulnerability and shared aspirations. Let us begin with prayer, she said softly, inviting them to bow their heads. Father, as we come together in this sacred space, we ask for your wisdom to flow through us. Guide our hearts to embrace the dreams you have sown within us. May we be illuminated by your love and courage as we step boldly into our purpose. With sincerity, Clara opened her eyes after the prayer, feeling a wave of divine warmth envelop her. Let us take this moment to share what we envision for our lives moving forward, she encouraged, her heart pounding with hope. She nodded to Agnes, who had been a steadfast friend throughout this journey. Agnes stood up, a radiant light in her eyes. I've been working on my project. I'm starting a community garden, a space where we can cultivate not just plants, but deeper connections, she said with fervor. This way we can nourish each other's hearts while growing fresh food. It's my way of spreading love in our village. Cheers erupted, hands clapping with delight. Clara felt a spark ignite within her as other voices followed suit, each sharing their purpose, their dreams. William revealed his plan to host weekly workshops at the smithy to teach young men skills and resilience. Emma shared her desire to create a community kitchen, bringing together those who needed nourishment and companionship. As each story mingled within the walls of the church, a magnificent tapestry of vision formed a beautiful expression of faith that flowed freely from one heart to another. But amidst the joy, Clara felt a solemn nudge within her spirit. Friends, she said, her expression softening. Tell me, what fears still hold you back? What shadows linger near your hearts? A hushed pause fell upon the congregation, many faces turning serious. Slowly, hands began to lift, sharing doubts that had resurfaced amid their new excitement. What if my dreams falter? One voice trembled. What will happen if we fail to find support? Another questioned. Clara stepped closer, her heart aching for them. Beloveds, we've already overcome so much together. Remember, our fears will always try to stop us, but we can be each other's anchors. Let us be a source of strength and encouragement. With newfound determination, Clara proposed an idea. Let us create a circle of accountability. We can meet weekly to uplift and support one another. By sharing our steps, we keep each other on track. Together, we will shatter those shadows. Cheers of agreement resonated through the church, uniting everyone in purpose. Clara felt a rush of divine assurance wash over her. This collective effort was exactly what Elderwood needed, a community bound not just by faith, but by action and accountability. As the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow inside the church, Clara raised her arms in celebration. Let us seal this moment with a prayer of commitment. As we step into the unknown, may we trust in God's unfailing guidance, and may we support one another in love. Hands clasped tightly, they bowed their heads once more. Clara could feel the heartbeats of her beloved friends echoing in unity. Lord, bless our endeavors, fortify our spirits, and let our dreams flourish. Grant us the courage to step boldly into our purpose and the strength to foster one another's journeys. As they ended the prayer, an exhilarating silence enveloped them, an expectant hush teeming with promise. Clara opened her eyes, witnessing a miracle unfold. Each face shone with a unique glow, alight with the realization that they held transformative power within themselves and that together, they were an unstoppable force. As they exited the church that night, the air outside felt charged with divinity, alive with potential. Clara's heart sang with joy, for she understood. The threads of faith, vulnerability, and hope were weaving a new story in Elderwood, a divine story that would shine brightly for all to see. What awaited them on this newly illuminated path, each heart ready to pursue dreams once overshadowed by doubt. Clara stepped boldly into the night, hopeful, knowing this journey of faith had only just begun, and angels danced around them, guiding them into the wondrous unfolding. Now, brothers and sisters in faith, it's your turn to join this journey. If you were inspired today, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Leave a like now to help spread this message of hope. Your support feeds the algorithm and helps others find this divine content. Share your reactions and testimonies about what this story means to you in the comments. And don't wait even one more second to share this video. Send it to at least 5 friends who need to know about these powerful manifestations of faith. Let us spread the word together.